In this video, we visit the Maritime Museum of San Diego, located on the San Diego Bay. The museum, which was established in 1948, features one of the largest collections of historic sea vessels in the United States. The collection is pretty impressive, with ships ranging from the 1500s to the 1960s. The centerpiece of the collection is the Star of India, which is the world's oldest active sailing ship. The museum is centered around the Berkeley, which is a ferry boat from the San Francisco Bay that was built in 1898. Inside the Berkeley, you will find a number of displays focusing on San Diego's nautical history. There are exhibits on things such as the military and tuna fishing, and when we filmed this, there was even an exhibit on old San Diego postcards. The upper deck of the Berkeley is used as an event space. I actually have a friend who had his wedding here. I guess no one can deny that a boat is a great place to tie the knot. Next to and behind the Berkeley, you'll find a number of other ships. At the museum is the USS Dolphin, which is the deepest diving submarine in the world. In 1968, the Dolphin set a depth record for operating submarines, diving 3,000 feet. A record that still stands. Walking through the submarine and seeing how the crew would have lived is pretty cool. You can even look through the periscope. The Dolphin was decommissioned in 2007. For me, a real highlight of the museum is seeing the San Salvador, a replica of the ship Cabrillo sailed when he became the first European to arrive in California in 1542. The replica was built in 2015 and relied on painstaking research in the fields of early modern Spanish and Portuguese maritime history and maritime archaeology to get the recreation as faithful as possible. The museum even takes the ship out on public sailing tours a couple times a month, which is something I'm definitely going to come back for in the future. The museum actually offers quite a few different sailing tours. On our visit, they were doing tours of the San Diego Bay in a Vietnam War era swift boat. The Californian was built in San Diego for the 1984 Summer Olympics and was designated as the official tall ship of the state of California. On our visit, since it was right before Halloween, the ship was being used to tell the tale of the Mary Celeste, a ship whose passengers mysteriously disappeared in the 1800s. Another ship that was really cool to see was the HMS Surprise, which was the ship that Russell Crowe commanded in the film Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. It still looks like it did in the movie, and it's pretty neat to walk around and see where everything was filmed. If you've never had a chance to see the movie, it's really good and definitely worth checking out. Highly recommend it. Currently, a Soviet B-39 submarine is also at the museum, but you can no longer go inside as it's starting to badly deteriorate, and it's to the point now where it's going to be sold for scrap. As mentioned earlier, the Star of India is the centerpiece of the museum's collection. Built in 1863 on the Isle of Man, the Star of India is the oldest ship that still regularly sails and the oldest iron-hulled merchant ship still afloat. The ship is a California and National Historic Landmark. The ship, which had made 21 around-the-world trips by 1897 and then made 22 voyages to Alaska by the 1920s, was sold to the Zoological Society of San Diego in 1926 to be the centerpiece of a planned museum and aquarium. The planned museum was never built due to the Great Depression and then later World War II, but the restoration finally began on the ship in 1957, and in 1976 it began sailing again. Despite being a native San Diegan, and the Star of India being a San Diego landmark, I believe this was my first time actually going aboard the ship, at least the first that I can remember. I was pretty shocked at how big it actually is once you go inside. It almost felt like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, where it's bigger on the inside. It was amazing just walking around the ship and trying to imagine what life would have been like for the crew living on it, and just seeing how they lived. I thought the museum was really interesting, and I learned a lot while I was there. It's also a great place for kids, as there's a lot there to hold their attention, which is something we were concerned about before visiting, but our son had a blast. If you find yourself in the area, we highly recommend checking out the Maritime Museum of San Diego. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.